200th birthday special for his show, Acoustic Songs Live. Here's Mitch.
We have Dan Baker here in the studio. Dan is a local Washington musician. Dan has established the Washington Jazz Society here in Washington, PA, which I've been keeping an eye on. It's a great thing, man, that you're... The whole theme of this show is basically Washington past, present, future, and Dan represents future Washington here, and young musician involved in the arts, and saw a need and decided to establish a community organization by establishing the Washington Jazz Society. Hey Dan, thanks for being in the studio. We really appreciate you coming in.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, cool. So what do you want to dig in to? Maybe we'll start off right with the song, which is normally
sure.
how we do things here on Acoustic Songs Live. What are you going to play for us?
I'll play a Marvin Gaye classic, What's Going On.
Cool.
Little instrumental version.
It's Dan Baker on Acoustic Songs Live on WNJR. That's Dan Baker with classic Marvin Gaye song, What's Going On. Hey Dan, a technical note, man, would you kind of position that mic right about where the neck joins the body as opposed to right on the sound hole?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, if you need me to come over there and adjust it,
Cool.
right on about the 14th fret.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, getting a little bit too much bass and mid on it. So,
Cool.
so I've known you for a while. We used to, kind of play gigs up at the same place
Yeah.
here in town, Bradford, Pioneer Room. And it lasted for a while, and
Yeah.
I've been keeping track of Ruben's, right? was it the place, the different?
Oh, Alan Rubens, yeah, we play on Alan Rubens every Wednesday. Yeah.
Alan Rubens every
Alan Rubens,
Wednesday.
844, yeah.
And then on Fridays?
We were up at Angelo's for a while, but we're not going to be there until I think September.
Oh, okay.
Next Saturday we'll be up at Little E's, downtown Pittsburgh, and we have some other engagements coming up.
Cool. And your bass player is a W&J.
Yes, sir. Greg Thurman. Yes.
Greg Thurman.
W&J alum, man.
Alum, and does he also teach here? I think I thought he did.
No.
Oh, okay.
He was a graduate assistant down at WVU.
That's okay. I'm
Yeah.
getting my colleges all crossed and mixed up here. So, Dan, tell me about. I know a little bit about this as far as your musical history. You grew up here in town, in
Born and
Washington.
raised, yeah. I grew up in Washington. Almost all my life over, and actually in East Washington.
And you studied guitar with Tony Janflon Sr.?
Yes, sir. Yeah. For a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was great.
Yeah, he's a local musical legend.
He is treasure.
Yeah, I think this is my dad and Tony had a band back in the '60s.
Yeah.
Marshmallow Steam Shovel.
Yeah.
That's history of that. Yeah, so we have these connections. The musical community in Pittsburgh. There's really a great community of musicians. The jazz community here locally. How would you, what could you tell me about, like in the local jazz scene? What's happening there?
There's quite a number of people, jazz musicians that are from Washington that have either stayed here or some gone, on to bigger, better things. And then there's been some that have moved here, like Kyle Simpson, the W&J professor here, music, and then my drummer Michael Barry. He's actually from Denver. He just recently moved here. His wife is a professor here. There's this, and then you have the history of like the Janflones and everybody else, and it's a small, but I think it's a tight knit community, and a lot of really hidden treasures down here in Washington. I think when it comes to jazz, you have a great singer in Adam Brock, or a great saxophone player Josh Dunleavy. There's just a lot of really good jazz musicians from this area.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh area in particular, from what I learned from my old man, because he's a big bebop fan, and that there was quite a history of jazz up at the Crawford Grill,
Oh yeah,
Mill District,
yeah.
and George Benson starting out. He was like 15, and my dad told me stories about how they used to sneak in there underage and go see George Benson play when he was just starting out. What led you to start the Washington Jazz Society? What was the thinking behind that?
A lot of reasons. Number one, just mainly one thing I noticed maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Reuben Brock and I did a short program at the park school out here, the Washington Park School, and I went in there with the idea that, man, these kids are gonna hate jazz, man. It's gonna be terrible. They're gonna start throwing stuff at us and booing and stuff. And we went in there, and man, it was like we were rock stars. And I was like, wow, it was really a surreal experience, because I didn't, most of the time, a lot of gigs when you're a jazz musician, you're background music or whatever like that. I didn't expect the young kids to dig the jazz thing, man. And so that kind of like made me think, well, maybe if people were just educated about it and hear it, and they'd be interested in it. Maybe people, a lot of times I think people hear the word jazz and it's kind of like a bad word, or it's kind of like old, or you know what I mean, or something like that, and that kind of gave me the idea, well, if we can, expose more people to jazz, I think we'll get more fans, and that was just kind of the idea. And then the educational thing too, there's a lot of kids that get to play in the jazz bands, in high schools and stuff, but now that's also dwindling. Music programs all over are dwindling, and it's also hard for them because in those environments they learn how to play like big band jazz, but they don't really learn how to play like small group jazz, and what's really happening now more in the modern style, post bebop era kind of thing. So just a combination of the two things, just trying to have something that we can all kind of come together and join forces. Since there's all these guys, we're all playing, if we can come together and bring all our resources together, maybe we can get a little bit more attention for the music, and then also just, just educating the youth and the public, just in general, any age, you know.